Hello friends, welcome back to English Wala. Today I am going to discuss the types of sentence on the basis of structure. So please lend me your eyes, ears along with your mind. Now sentences can be divided into four categories according to their structure, according to the presence of independent clause and subordinate clause. Those four types are simple, compound, complex and compound complex. Now, let us at first know what a sentence is. What is a sentence? A sentence is a group of words or a word in a given context. A word can be a sentence in a given context, having a complete and clear sense. Both the terms are important. Complete and clear. Complete and clear sense. Now let us take a very simple language. I love language. I love language. Here I is subject, love is verb, the tense verb, the finite verb, and language is the object. Now, what is the smallest sentence? Go. It's a command. Go. The subject here is understood. The subject is you. It is an imperative sentence. Go. It's a sentence. A single word. Again, I want to go to Mumbai. It's a sentence. It gives a complete sense. But suppose the speaker wants to say something more. So, I want to go to Mumbai, and after that the speaker wants to say something more. The speaker wants to say, I want to go to Mumbai to meet my friend. Here we find that this sentence not only gives the complete sense, but also gives the clear sense. Because the speaker wants to say, I want to go to Mumbai. If he stops here, it's a sentence. It's a complete sentence. But if he wants to say something more, the sense is not clear. So, he is to say, to meet my friend. It gives both complete and clear sense. Again, a word can be a sentence in a context. For example, do you play cricket? Do you play cricket? It's an interrogative sentence. And suppose somebody asks his companion or asks a boy, do you play cricket? And the boy says, no. No. So no here is a sentence. And it is a sentence according to the context. As he was asked the question, do you want to play cricket? He says, no. So, no is a sentence. So, a word can be a sentence in a given context. Now, what are the basic structures of sentence? Basic structures of sentence. As you know, in English language, sentence, the basic structure of a sentence is subject, verb, object. Subject, verb, object. And there can be an object in the case of transitive verb only. So, the first basic structure of sentence is subject plus transitive verb plus object. Let us see an example. She makes dolls. She is the subject. Makes is the tense verb or the finite verb. In one of my previous lessons, I discussed what finite verb is. What is the finite verb? Finite verb is the tense marker. That means the verb which indicates the tense in a sentence is the finite verb. Here makes is the finite verb. So she is the subject, makes tense verb or finite verb, and dolls is the object because make is a transitive verb. Now let us say another example. She is enthusiastic. She is enthusiastic. Is be verb. It is the tense verb, the finite verb, and the subject is she, but enthusiastic is not the object. Enthusiastic is not the object because Is an intransitive incomplete verb. Is an intransitive incomplete verb. It must take a complement to give a clear and complete sense. So here the structure is subject plus intransitive incomplete verb, intransitive verb with incomplete predication. That means intransitive incomplete verb plus complement. The next example, she sleeps. It's a complete sentence. Subject is she, sleeps is the finite verb or the tense verb. Now what is the structure here? It gives a complete sense. And the structure is subject plus intransitive complete verb. So these are the three basic sentence structures in English language. Now let us enter the domain of the categories of sentence, the types of sentence according to the clauses present in them. How many types did I say? There are 4 types of sentence: simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, compound complex sentence. Compound complex sentence can also be called a mixed sentence or a multiple sentence. Actually, in compound complex sentence, we can find all the features of a compound sentence and also all the features of a complex sentence. It is actually a kind of compound sentence. Now, what is simple sentence? In a simple sentence, there will be only one independent clause. There will be only one independent clause, and an independent clause gives a complete sense. An independent clause can act like a sentence, and that is a simple sentence. Only one independent clause, that means only one finite verb, that means only one tense verb. Finite verb means tense verb. Compound sentence. What is compound sentence? In a compound sentence, there will be 2 or more independent clauses. 2 or more independent clauses. 2 or more. There may be 3 independent clauses, even more than 3 independent clauses. Now, complex sentence. What is a complex sentence? Like the simple sentence, it has only one independent clause. There will be only one independent clause in a complex sentence. And with that independent clause, unlike simple sentence, with that independent clause, there will be at least one subordinate clause. That means one independent clause plus one or more subordinate clause. Now, what is a compound complex sentence? Like the compound sentence, it must have 2 or more independent clauses. 2 or more independent clauses as we find in the compound sentence, plus 1 or more subordinate clauses. 1 or more subordinate clauses as we find in the complex sentence. So this very type of sentence is called compound complex sentence or mixed sentence, or according to modern grammar, it's called a multiple sentence. Now, let us discuss individually each type of sentence. Simple sentence. Let us see the examples. And you know, as I told you, there will be only one tense verb, one independent clause. That means one tense verb, no subclause, only one independent clause. So there will be only one tense verb, one finite verb. So if in a sentence you find only one tense verb, one finite verb, then that must be a simple sentence. Yes, a simple sentence. Now let us see the examples. The boys are playing. The boys are playing. Here we find the tense verb are. It's the be verb. It clearly helps us in understanding that the sentence is in present tense, and by seeing are, this very verb indicates the tense. So there is only one finite verb or tense verb, the tense marker. So this is a simple sentence. The boys are playing. Next example, I can add certain other elements. See, I can add certain other elements to this very sentence. All the little boys of our locality are playing in the field. But in spite of adding so many words, there is only one finite verb. I haven't added any other finite verb or any other clause. So it is also a simple sentence. Again, the third one. All the little boys and girls of our locality are playing in the field. Here, don't get confused with this and. This and joins the parts of subject, all the little boys and girls. But there is only one finite verb. That is, it is also an independent clause. And it is a simple sentence. Going there, I told my friend. Going there, I told my friend. It's a complete sentence. Now, how many verb types are there? Going and told. Going and told. But going is not a finite verb. Going is a participle, a verbal, a non-finite verb. So, in this sentence also, we find it is in past tense. How can we understand it is in past tense? Because of the verb told. So, there is only one finite verb or tense verb. So, it is also an independent clause, and it has only one independent clause, and it is a simple sentence. Next example. Going there, I told my friend to help me. How many verb forms are there? Going, told, help. Now let us see which one is the tense marker. Simply, the sentence is in past tense and the verb told, quote unquote told, this verb tells us that this is in past tense. But what is going? Going is a participle, the present participle. Now, help, to help, it follows infinitive. To. So, it is the non-finite form of verb. If I change the sentence into present tense, going there, I tell my friend to help me. If I change it into future tense, going there, I'll tell my friend to help me. There will be no change in help or going. Only the tense marker, this finite verb, changes. So, there is only one tense marker, and it is a simple sentence. Having finished my dinner, perfect participle, having finished, I went to bed. So, here also we find only one tense verb. So, it is a simple sentence. The man having earned a lot of money, it is an absolute phrase. Having earned a lot of money, his family came out of financial problems. Here came is the tense verb, and there is only one tense verb, one finite verb. So, this sentence is also a simple sentence. Now, going to market and buying a lot of vegetables, I came back. Here, going is a participle, buying is also another participle. Now, came is the only tense verb. Don't get confused with this and. This and joins two participles. This and joins two participles, and as a whole, two phrases. Going to market and buying a lot of vegetables. These two phrases have been joined by this and. So, and doesn't stand here as the adding factor of any tense verb. So, there is only one tense verb came. So, it is also a simple sentence. So, please remember, in a simple sentence, you will find only one tense verb or finite verb. So, if you want to identify a sentence, whether it is simple or not, simply count the finite verbs. If there is only one finite verb, and if the sentence gives a complete sense, then it is a simple sentence. Now, let us discuss Compound sentence. What is a compound sentence? What will we find in a compound sentence? In a compound sentence, there will be two or more independent clauses. Two or more independent clauses. So if we get two simple sentences and if we join them with a coordinating conjunction, then it will be a compound sentence. Let us see the examples. The man saw his friend. It's a simple sentence. It's an independent clause. It's a simple sentence. Again, he was really glad. The man saw his friend. Stop. He was really glad. Let us join them. The man saw his friend and he was really glad. So it is a compound sentence. Two independent clauses are joined. He went to the old place but couldn't find the old friends. Here, you may not mention he. He can be omitted. But actually it is understood. But we can write also, or we can say also, he went to the old place but he couldn't find the old friends. So here also two independent clauses have been joined. Again, love me or leave me. Love me is an independent clause. It is a simple sentence. Leave me is another independent clause, a simple sentence. Now, they have been joined by or. Love me or leave me. A tire of his car was flat, so he took a taxi to reach office in time. Here, a tire of his car was flat. It's an independent clause. He took a taxi to reach office in time. It is also an independent clause. That means two simple sentences. They have been joined by so. He was in financial crisis, yet he didn't ask for money. He was in financial crisis. If I put a stop here, it becomes a complete sentence. He didn't ask for money. If I put a stop here, it also gives a complete sense. But they have been joined by using yet. So it is a compound sentence. The last one, here we can find three independent clauses. I came, I saw, and I conquered. I came, it gives a complete sense. I saw, another independent clause, it gives a complete sense. And I conquered, it also gives us a complete sense independently. So these three independent clauses have been put together and they have been joined by using and. We can use and in both the cases. I came and I saw and I conquered. For the sake of emphasis, we can do that. So it is also a compound sentence. Now, let us discuss complex sentence. Complex sentence, one independent clause. Mind you, only one independent clause. There cannot be more than one independent clause. One independent clause plus one or more dependent clause or subordinate clause. Let us see the examples. I asked the girl where she was from. I asked the girl where she was from. I asked the girl, this is the independent clause, where she was from. I asked the girl something. And this something is noun and it is the noun clause. So a subordinate clause. So here we find one independent clause plus one dependent clause or one subordinate clause. Dependent clause is otherwise known as subordinate clause. Now in the next example, I asked the girl when she met her friend who was suffering from typhoid. I asked the girl something. I asked the girl. This gives a complete sense. It is an independent clause. When she met her friend. I asked the girl something. So when she met her friend, this is a noun clause. And again, friend is the antecedent. It has been modified by the next clause, who was suffering from typhoid. It is a relative or adjective clause. So here we find one independent clause and two subordinate clauses, one noun clause and another adjective clause. Next example, when I saw him, and you know this is an adverbial clause of time. When I saw him, he was having momo. If I say only he was having momo, this is an independent clause. It gives a complete sense. He was having momo, which was made at home. The momo was made at home. That means it is an adjective clause, which was made at home. Because now it is an adverbial clause. Because all the restaurants were closed due to lockdown. So when I saw him, it is an adverbial clause which was made at home. It is an adjective clause again because all the restaurants were closed due to lockdown. This is an adverbial clause. Here he was having momo. This is only the independent clause. So here we find one independent clause and three subordinate clauses or dependent clauses. Next example. Though he was old and weak, only two adjectives have been joined by using and. Though he was old and weak, it is an adverbial clause of contrast. Though he was old and weak, he carried a heavy burden. He carried a heavy burden. Simply imagine, I uttered only this part. He carried a heavy burden. It's an independent clause. It gives a complete sense. So here we find an adverbial clause of contrast and only one independent clause. So one independent clause and one dependent clause. It's a complex sentence. The man who was rich and who was kind in nature. Here I have joined two subordinate clauses by using and. So only two subordinate clauses have been joined. The principal clause is the man helped me a lot. The man who was rich and who was kind in nature helped me a lot. The man helped me a lot. The red part is the independent clause, and here we find two subordinate clauses, two subordinate relative clauses or adjective clauses. Who was rich, who was kind in nature. So it is also a complex sentence because here we find only one independent clause and more than one subordinate clause. And last one, being a student, it's a participle. Being a student, you cannot say this, you cannot say this. This is the independent clause which isn't student-like. This is a relative clause or adjective clause. So here in this sentence also we can find one independent clause and one subordinate clause. So this is also a complex sentence. So to identify a complex sentence, you must note that there must be only one independent clause and at least one subordinate clause. At least, quote unquote, at least one subordinate clause. So it will be a complex sentence. Let us see the fourth one, compound complex sentence. Compound complex sentence. Here we find all the elements put together. Here we can find two or more independent clauses. Two or more independent clauses, as we find in the compound sentence, plus one or more dependent clause, as we find in the complex sentence. So here we find all the features of a compound sentence and a complex sentence. But actually this can be branded as, this can be marked as a compound sentence too. In modern grammar it is called multiple sentence. It is also called mixed sentence. Let us see the examples. I want a fair administration, so I will vote against her because she is corrupt. What are the independent clauses? I want a fair administration. The next one is I will vote against her. And there is a subclause, because, adverbial clause, because she is corrupt. So here we find two independent clauses and one dependent clause. Two independent clauses plus one dependent clause. So it is a compound complex sentence. Though it sounds complex, but it is not complex at all. The man who is rich is my friend. The principal clause is the man is my friend. Who is rich? Is a subordinate adjective clause. Again, and the conjunction, I am sure It's a principal clause, an independent clause. I am sure that he will help me. That he will help me. It's a noun clause, subordinate clause. Whenever I am in need, whenever I am in need, time adverbial clause. So how many dependent clauses are there? Who is rich? Adjective clause, that he will help me. A noun clause, whenever I am in need. It's an adverbial clause. So 3 dependent clauses are there. And how many independent clauses are there? The man is my friend, first independent clause, and I am sure this is the second one. So 2 independent clauses plus 3 dependent clauses. So it's a compound complex sentence. Now let us see a longer sentence. I have a cat that likes fish. I have a cat. If I stop here, it gives a complete sense. So it is an independent clause. I have a cat that likes fish or which likes fish. It is a relative clause. But the conjunction, the dog that I have likes chicken. So the dog likes chicken. It is an independent clause. That I have, again it's a relative clause. The dog which I have, relative or adjective clause. And again a conjunction. So every day I have to go to market. Every day I have to go to market. It is another independent clause. Again a conjunction. Buy both fish and chicken. That means every day I have to buy. Every day, this is in common. Every day I have to buy both fish and chicken. This is another independent clause. So how many independent clauses are there in this sentence? I have a cat, 1. The dog likes chicken, 2. Every day I have to go to market, 3. Every day I have to buy both fish and chicken, 4. So 4 independent clauses are there. And how many dependent clauses are there? That likes fish, an adjective or relative clause. That I have, that means which I have, again an adjective or relative clause. So there are only 2 dependent clauses. So in this sentence we can find 4 independent clauses and 2 dependent clauses. So it can also be called a compound complex sentence. I think both compound and complex. Simple sentence is very simple. There is only one finite verb. In complex sentence, you can find 1 independent clause and at least 1 subordinate clause. In the compound sentence, you must find at least 2 independent clauses. At least 2 independent clauses. In the compound complex sentence, we can find 2 or more independent clauses like the compound sentence plus 1 or more dependent clause like the complex sentence, and it is called compound complex sentence. I think it is now clear to you. If not, please watch the video again and again, and I may also expect that my video proves helpful to you, and if it does so, please subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload any video. My next lesson will be on synthesis or joining into simple sentence. Till then, goodbye. Thank you a lot.